Hi people, my name is Vexter and I do models for 3D printing. Today I'm gonna show you how I model stuff inside ZBrush, and I'm gonna use XPPen Artist Pro 15.6 for that. I got the device a month ago and so far I can just say that I'm really loving it. So this is gonna be a two-part tutorial. We're gonna do something from Sphere. I will quickly add some details just to show you how everything works, and in the second part we're gonna add fur, hair, stuff like that, so stick around. Today I'm gonna try to make orangutan, and first thing that I usually do, I usually start modeling from Sphere, but this time I'm gonna make it slightly different. I'm gonna use few different subtools to create a face. So right now I'm just gonna quickly do the basic shape. I'm gonna make this top part a little bit smaller, and yeah, this looks great. So I'm gonna add another subtool, another sphere, and I'm gonna use this part for the mouth and for the nose area. Like I said, I could have done this as one subtool, but sometimes I like to experiment. I like to look at faces through a bunch of simplified shapes. And when I was looking at references of orangutan, I've noticed that I can do it with two spheres and basically one cylinder, and that's gonna be a good start. So I'm going right now with that. Like I said, it's how you like to do stuff. I could have just applied a bunch of clay on top of one subtool and smooth that out, but this is a nice experiment. So now I'm choosing the third subtool, which is this cylinder, and after I position it, I'm gonna quickly adjust the shape. So I'm gonna use the move tool to do that. Some people like to use snake hook because they just like the style more. And now I'm gonna smooth this cylinder. I'm gonna hit this sculptures button, and that's a really neat feature in ZBrush. And now you also have it inside ZBrush core, and it's a great thing. It's just applying more polygons to the part that you're smoothing out instead of just arranging actual polygons that you already have. And now I'm gonna go into geometry, and I'm gonna hit this Dynamesh. So I need to hold shift and make a square, and then I can smooth everything out. So this looks like a decent start. Now I'm gonna carve nostrils. I'm just looking at reference images in the other monitor. Somewhere like that, yeah. And I'm gonna also make the mouth somewhere here. Yeah, that's fine. Great thing about ZBrush is that you can really adjust everything how many times you want until it just feels right. Right now I'm just carving holes where the eyes are gonna be, and you can see that every time I do that I smooth everything a little bit. Some people avoid doing that. They like to mess around first with less polygons and then start dividing it and applying more details. Again, I'm doing everything how I feel at that point. Sometimes I do it more like them. Sometimes I start adding more and more polygons, more details, which sometimes can really not be a great idea, because you can easily crank up the amount of polygons and your software, your computer is gonna get really slow. But like I said, it's something that you really need to experiment for yourself. Now I'm gonna add another subtool. It's gonna be another sphere, and we're gonna use that for the eyes. So I'm going into this transparent mode to position everything. Okay, this looks kind of fine, and we're gonna mirror it and press X so we have mirrored image, so we have symmetry turned on. Why am I using it like that? Well, you can make your eyes on the subtool that you have already created, but I don't suggest that, because if you try to move anything, you will affect also the shape of the model's eyes. And trust me, you don't want to do that. Shape needs to be perfect, rounded, and in this way I can change one subtool and eyes are going to stay the same, and you just have a better control. Eyes are probably the area that I tweak the most. I'm never satisfied with that part. And now you can see that I'm just adding rough details, which we're gonna adjust quickly. But right now I'm gonna do some changes to the nose. I'm gonna do more details on that area. And I know how other people are doing that, but I like to add a little bit of detail on each part, just so I can feel better. It's not something that everyone should do, but just overall shapes on some areas, they just make the entire difference. Like if you go back a minute ago and just see the nose part, it looks really off, and now by just applying a little bit more of clay, I think it made a huge difference. And when you start doing something like that, you want to quickly feel that you are doing the right thing. So now I'm gonna focus more on the eyes. I need to start adding more details, and you can see that I don't have enough polygons in that area, and there's a quick fix for that. So I'm gonna turn on the sculptures, and I'm gonna hold shift, and I'm just gonna smooth this area, and you can see that density of polygons has increased wherever I was smoothing with sculptures turned on. So this means that I can add more details on that area. And I'm still keeping a low amount of polygons on the rest of the model, because if you just do the subdivision, it's gonna add more polygons on everything, and you can quickly have a lot of polygons. But you really don't need polygons everywhere. And later I'm gonna show you how you can evenly spread out everything. So now eyelids look much better, and I can start adding parts, and you can see right here that this part has more polygons, and I can make smooth line, and then it hits the area where it has less polygons, and you basically cannot add any details. Just to quickly explain all the subdivision. So if you go here into geometry, and you can hit divide, and it will add a lot of polygons on the entire model. So now you can see that there are much more polygons than there were before. Also, shortcut is Ctrl D. And you can still see that around the eyes, nostrils, where I was using sculptures, I had more polygons, but now I want to adjust everything. I want my polygons to be evenly spread. So I'm hitting zero measure, which will use all the amount of polygons that I have, these active points, which is 1.7 million right now, and it's gonna try to evenly spread everything and delete unnecessary ones. And now you can see how everything looks much nicer and evenly spread out. And the amount of polygons went below 1 million, which is great because, like I said, your software, your computer is gonna operate much faster and you will not have problems. And now I can start applying more details, and you can see how lines are now looking great. But I'm gonna quickly adjust the intensity of my brush, and because these lines are really harsh, and it's great for 3D printing, don't get me wrong, but I want to be able to make it more organic, so I'm gonna just lower the intensity and do more passes on each line to give me a better depth. And you can also adjust the strength of each stroke you're applying directly from your graphic display. I prefer it this way. Now I'm gonna turn off the symmetry because I want to add some lines here, and the areas that are connecting, it's never good to do any kind of symmetry because that is gonna be visible. And when you're doing faces, it's really important to break the symmetry as soon as possible. For example, if you take a selfie and then you cut one part of your face and mirror it, your face is immediately gonna look off because none of organic stuff in life is not perfectly symmetrical. And by just applying few changes to your model, you will see that everything will just look more organic, much better than when the symmetry is turned on. So now I'm gonna use them standard just to apply more details and make the separation between some parts, like the nose. And I'm gonna make this cut in the middle. Yeah, that looks much better. Okay, this is going in the right direction, and now I'm gonna tweak the eyebrows. I want some kind of different, I'm searching for some kind of different expression, so I'm gonna lower the eyebrows. I'm gonna make this face slightly older, a little bit sad, and I've masked the part around the eyes, so I can just lower everything. Also, this part needs to go a little bit out. One of the things that you need to do a lot when you're 3D modeling is you need to rotate your model as much as possible. You can't just sculpt from one point, and because you will get surprised. For example, if I just sculpt everything from this point, it's gonna look fine until I rotate the model, and that happened to me a lot of times. I can then see that everything looks completely different, especially if you're doing, for example, human faces. And one of my friends explained that in a really great way. He said everything looked great from the front, and then I rotated and it looked like it hit the wall. And it's true. So rotate your model as much as possible, look from every single angle, and you will spot much faster what's wrong with your model in that way. Okay, I can see that I need to adjust this area. It needs to go much more down, and this one needs to go a little bit more inside. Okay. I like this face already. I think almost everyone will tell you not to start applying a bunch of different details until you're happy, but I'm gonna quickly show you how you can apply some stuff and still get away with everything. So if you click on Lightbox and go to alphas, you can pick one of these nice materials, wrinkles, and I'm gonna switch from this thing to drag. And let me go a little bit more closer, and I'm gonna turn off the symmetry. And if you start dragging, you can get something like this. Only problem is that this area is now facing outside and we want everything to be inside. So either you're gonna hold Alt or you're gonna click on this button, which will subtract. So now you have texture, you have scars like this, but you can still see that there are not a lot of details in it. So we need to divide it even more to add more polygons. So click on divide or Control D to do that. There are much more details, but you really shouldn't leave it like that. If you look at skin of basically every organic thing, you will see that there are so many layers, so many different parts that you are just missing out because you're not focused on that. And you can just experiment. You can add layers on top layers, smaller details, bigger details, and it's gonna make everything much nicer, less perfect. So now I'm just applying a few of those and smoothing them out because that's gonna be just my basting. Don't forget that I'm holding Alt all the time. Also another option where you can basically use this alpha and spray on your details. It works in a lot of cases, sometimes not, but if you click here and you click on spray, and I'm gonna increase the size of my brush and decrease the intensity, you can see that now I'm painting some sort of a texture, skin texture on top, and I'm using exactly the same alpha that I've used for the bigger areas, and yet it looks completely different. And again, I'm not applying details at this point when I'm sculpting stuff. I think this is way too early. I would rather apply more. I would rather carve more details and be sure that my model looks good enough before that. But this needs to be a shorter tutorial, so we're just gonna skip a few things.